Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ha-Rakah Kodash. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. And also want to give acknowledgement to all the Akiyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity. All right, so, as you know, may or may not know, this commercial for Foot Locker has been, on the internet. People have been playing this commercial, especially Men of the Truth, because it depicts, and it's actually a pretty good depiction of the end of the world and the last day, the day of wrath of Yahweh, and when Yahushai visits the earth. Okay, because Esau, Edom, they put all of the biblical symbolism in their commercials, in their movies, and the brothers and the men of Yahweh, the prophets. I always tell you, we look at everything through a spiritual eye when, these types of things go right over the head of the 2/3 and the wicked. But I'm going to go ahead and play this commercial, and then we'll jump into some scriptures.
Zombie epidemic and alien encounters continue unabated. Safe to say, this is the best week ever.
They call it the best week ever, but the Lord calls it the day of wrath.
What are you doing? Run!
You see chaos and confusion.
This is a real thing!
Nah, man. This is the real thing.
The Edomites are being more affected than the Israelites in this commercial.
Wearing the new Icon Clash?
I need this in a size 8.
I need a 6.
I need this in a 16. I got you.
Not today.
Look at all those Edomite zombies.
Dad?
Clash not dead.
Hell yeah.
Hey, kid, where are you headed? You know it's the end of the world, right?
Yeah, but it's the start of a week of greatness.
This is the best week ever.
Alright, so there was the commercial. And I'm just going to bring out some scriptures, to explain what you just saw in that commercial. Because like I said, Esau, Edom, they make movies and commercials like this, and they get all their ideas from the scriptures, okay? The first one I'm going to bring out is the 2 Ezra 5 and 8. It says, "There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again. And the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters." And you saw in that video, it was all confusion, all right? And fire was being shot out from the sky, which was nuclear fire, and also fire that's going to be shot from the chariots, all right? The so-called UFOs. And then it says that the wild beasts shall change their places. In that video, you saw a big-ass octopus, gigantic octopus, wrapping its limbs around the building, And this is also going to deal with Leviathan, all right, who is spoken of in the Bible, and Behemoth, which are two magnificent creatures that Yahweh created, all right? And those literally like dragons is what a Leviathan is. A Behemoth is like a dinosaur, like a brontosaurus, But basically, the Leviathan is going to be a part of the destruction too, according to the scriptures, all right? Those Leviathans are going to come out from the depths of the sea, because when those nuclear bombs hit, it's going to cause them to change their place. Like it says in verse 8, because the wild beasts, those they're going to be woken up. Well, how do you wake up a reptile? With heat, all right? And what's going to be that heat? It's going to be those nuclear missiles, the nuclear fire. It's going to heat up the earth, causing those leviathans to come out from the depths of the ocean, all right? And Esau knows that. He knows that verse, He's been watching the prophets teach. And that's why you see those depictions in their commercials. All right. Then you also saw the chariots in the sky, which are the so-called UFOs. I'm going to go to Psalms 104 and 3. And these chariots are all up in the Bible. I just picked a couple verses to explain. It says, Psalm 104:3, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. All right, so literally those chariots, Yahweh can make a cloud his chariot, and he also calls the chariots clouds in the scriptures. All right, and to prove it to you, we're going to go to Acts 1:9, because the Savior, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, was taken up in a chariot or a cloud. I'm going Acts 1:9 to show you that. It says, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which were two angels, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahweh Shai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. All right. So literally, they were watching. The disciples were watching the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, the Hamashiach, go up in a chariot. It says up he was taken up in a cloud in verse 9. All right, and that's what you saw with the commercial. You saw the Northern Kingdom gentleman being taken up in a cloud or in a chariot. All right. I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians. And we're going to go to 15 and verse 52. And it says, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. All right, and that's dealing with the flesh. Because as we go up in those chariots, our fleshly bodies cannot inherit the kingdom. Our fleshly bodies can't even handle the speed of those chariots. This body that we have right now is weak, right? That's why we get colds. That's why we get injured. That's why as we get older, we have aches and pains, But the Bible says that our corruptible bodies will be made incorruptible, and we're going to put on that immortality, meaning you can't die if you're immortal. All right, you're changing up in the twinkling of an eye in verse 52. All right, and it didn't show you that in that chariot when that Northern Kingdom guy was taken up in the chariot, but that's what's going to happen as it is written. All right, and we're going to go to 2nd Esdras for the next verse here, and we're going to go to 7 and verse 45. It says, then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor oppress him that hath gotten the victory. All right, and what is the victory? The victory is salvation. In that commercial, according to the Bible, the one who was taken up in the chariot, he's the one who got the victory because he was delivered from harm's way. He wasn't part of. You saw the fire flying through the sky. You saw the chariots about to start fucking up Babylon in the commercial. But no, when you're taken up in that chariot, that's your safe That's your salvation. All right. You know, so that's what it is, man. But you know, to these wicked heathen who teach the Bible, they don't have the understanding on those scriptures. But Yahweh is dealing with, you know, starting out with the elders and the prophets of GMS. We're able to break down these parables. I'm going to go to 2nd Ezra 8, and then we're going to go to 1 verse through verse 3. It said, let me see, 2nd Ezra 8, 1 verse 3. It says, "And he answered me, saying, The Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come for few. I will tell thee a similitude, Esdras, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee that it giveth much mold, whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust that gold cometh of. Even so is the course of this present world. There be many created, but few shall be saved." Alright, so in the book of Esdras, it's telling you, you know, there's only going to be a few saved. You know, out of that whole commercial, you saw the madness, you saw the Edomite zombies, you saw the 2/3 being, they were more concerned about the shoes than the world. That's symbolic, because that's how what it is. You know what I mean? The 2/3, the nation of Israel, who are wicked, they're more worried about a pair of sneakers than about what's happening around them. You know, and that's what that commercial depicted, you know. But it says that there'll only be a few, all right, in verse 8 and 1, you know. And he compares it to gold and dust. There's a ton of dust on the earth, you know, but there's just a little bit of gold in the earth. That's the parable, the analogy, all right. So now I'm going to go to Wisdom of Solomon. And we're going to go to 5 and 2. And it says, "When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for." So this is dealing with the chariots of salvation, the UFOs who taken up the saints and the 1/3 of Israel who actually hearkens to this truth and this knowledge that we are the vessels of and the mouth of Yahweh, you know, the prophets. They're going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvation, it says. And it says so far beyond all that they looked for, because they're not considering that the so-called UFOs are going to be the ones that save the men of Yahweh and the 1/3 who are attached to the prophets. 144,000. You know, they're not going to be expecting us to go up in chariots. And then when they see that thing, they're going to be amazed and feared. They're going to be so terrible, with terrible fear. And it's so far beyond all that they look for. You know, they're not considering the chariots of salvation. They see the prophets, you know, the men who are on the streets teaching, getting taken up in them chariots. They're going to be saved from the madness, you know, from the zombies, because there are going to be zombies, and a zombie literally just, you know, those people who are, there's going to be famine, you know, and that's why they're trying to eat humans in the commercial. It's all biblical. I'm going to go to 2nd Ezra and verse 6, see what I got here. 2nd Ezra, verse 6. Let's start at 1. I don't have a verse here, but I'm just trying to... Well, let's go right here. Let's start at 21. 2nd Ezra 6:21. "And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women of the child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. All right, so when them chariots come and that nuclear destruction and that last day of wrath is upon us, you know, in a moment people are going to be freaked out, man. You know, they're going to shit their pants, man. The sight of those chariots alone are going to give men heart attacks. Verse 22, it says that the storehouses will be full and suddenly be found empty, and it's because of that famine. You know, people are going to be trying to eat other people because they don't have no food, man. They're going to literally try and eat each other. And you bet these Edomites, man, they're fucking vile. They ain't got no problem eating human flesh. All right? And you know, you can say what you want, but I'm just telling you the truth, man. I'm just telling you what it is, what it is. The next verse I'm going to go to is Revelation. And if you don't have the word and the understanding of the truth, hey, that's going to be the stability of the times, the Bible says. All right? So now we're going to go to Revelation 13 and 13. And this is that so-called white man, that Satan. He says, the Bible says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Right, what was that wound by the sword? That was the Roman Empire falling, and then they came back as the Europeans, and then eventually the Americans, which is Edom, the so-called white man. All right, and then if you go back up to 13, it says, "And maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men," and that's what you saw in that commercial. You could see flames of fire shooting through the sky. All right, and again, that's dealing with the chariots are going to be shooting fire at the earth, and so are those nuclear missiles, because there's going to be war in heaven. All right, the so-called white man is going to try to fight Yahweh Shai on those chariots, and he's going to get fucked up. All right, I'm going to go to Isaiah 66 and 15. Let me see. Yeah, we'll start at 15. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many. Alright? So there you go, man. You that's what you saw in that commercial. You know, you saw the destruction, and people were running around chaotic. All right, and those chariots, you know, they were there. You know, he's going to plead with the people on the earth with all flesh. It says the slain of Yahweh shall be many. You only saw one guy get taken up in that commercial out of all those people in the city. All right, so the slain is going to be much more than the saved. All right, according to the scriptures. All right. All right, so let's go to 2nd Esdras in chapter 2. And we will start at 27. It says, "Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. The heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, saith Yahweh. My hand shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell." So hell is on earth, and the lake of fire is that last day when all hell breaks loose, and you're going to have the America Babylon, you know, burning with fire, nuclear fire. All right, that's how he's going to cover the elect and his chosen, the 1/3 of Israel. All right, it says, "Be not weary, for the day of trouble and heaviness cometh." And that's what you saw in that commercial. You know, "Others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance." And you know, the 2/3 in that commercial, they were just, and when I say 2/3, I'm talking about the Israelites who were oblivious to the truth, who are still going to die in their unfaithfulness. They were walking around more concerned about sneakers and, Foot Locker than the destruction that's around them. That's just a parable for what you see in real life. People are like that. They don't care about the truth. No, they're more worried about shoes, man. And the day of trouble is the day you saw in that commercial, and heaviness. But what does it say? It says in verse 28, the heathen shall envy thee, meaning the other nations, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, saith Yahweh. So they're gonna see us getting taken up in them chariots, and they're gonna be full of envy, and they're gonna be like, man, those fucking niggers and spicks, those are the chosen ones. Those ones are getting saved. The one who was talking shit, because that's what they say. They think we're just talking shit and hate on the street corners. But no, we're going to be the chosen ones because we're out here pushing this truth with sincerity, whether you like it or not. We're going to bring out the truth, even if it, costs us our life, I'm going to go to 2nd Esdras, stay in 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, and go to 50. And it says, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. All right? So that's self-explanatory, man. There's going to be great miseries to be done to the unfaithful and to the wicked and to the 2/3 who are more concerned about shoes than the truth. And it did show you, it showed you levels in that commercial, because it showed you the Edomites were zombies, all right, and the Israelites were just oblivious. They didn't even give a shit about the end of the world. But it shows you that's how our people are, man. Jake don't give a shit about the truth. Even when you teach on the streets, you're going to have Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, be more peculiar and curious, and they'll go search things out. They'll go research stuff. But Jake won't research. Jake will just shalom, walk by and go on about their heathen ways, All right, the next verse I'm going to go to is still in Esdras, but we're going to go to chapter 9 for this one, and we're going to go to 3 and 4. It says, therefore there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. All right, so you're going to see, and you're already seeing that stuff happen in France, in what's the it's all over the Hong Kong, and eventually it's going to be here in America. And you're gonna see the earthquakes and the uproars of the people, man. Then, this is verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Alright? For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So you're going to see everything, man. Let me keep reading. Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. And what's the sign? One of the signs is the men of Israel teaching this truth on the streets. That's a sign of the end. Earthquakes, uproars of the people, Everything you see in that commercial was a perfect illustration of the last day, And it says that then you're going to understand when you see all of this. And then he's saying, hey, remember, I already wrote it down. It's already been written. All right. And I'm going to jump to 7. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. All right. And whereby ye have believed. Yeah, because us prophets and us elect men of Israel, we believe in those chariots, all right? We see them at camps. Yahweh gives us examples, ever since I've been in this truth, my faith has grown because of the examples Yahweh has put in front of us. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, but you're going to have to take my word through faith. The prophets have seen amazing things. We've seen chariots. All right, we have chariots on our videos. We've seen the wicked go down into seizures at the sight, or at the sound of the word being read out on the street. All right, we've seen supernatural things, man. And if you're not part of this truth, hey, Yahweh doesn't give a fuck, and neither do we. All right, I'm gonna go to 2nd Ezra. Stay there. I'm gonna jump to 15. And I'm going to go to 4 and 5. It says, "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." And unfaithful just means non-believer. So if you're a non-believer, you're going to die a non-believer. And Yahweh don't give a shit. Number 5. "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." Alright, so, hey, famine, death, destruction, the sword. You saw all that in that. You saw all of that in the commercial. The famine, you had the Edomite zombies trying to eat the flesh of the others. You had the sword, you had the weapons, alright? You saw death. The little girl and the dad were on top of that building. She says, "Is he alive, Daddy?" And he just kicks the dead body, And destruction. You saw destruction in that video, in that commercial. Alright? So Esau's showing you what's going to happen in his little commercials, man. We're going to go to 16. "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right, and so the sedition among men means like a uproar of the government. The revolt against their government. You didn't see there was all chaos in that commercial. You didn't see the police saving anybody. Verse 17: "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." You're gonna need that microchip to travel. You're going to need that microchip, which is the mark of the beast, to buy food, to do anything. And then when the food is gone, everybody's going to be chaotic, man. And the Edomites, starting out with the Edomites, they're going to be zombies, man, trying to eat you. This is 18. "For because their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation." Alright? And that's what you saw, man, in that video. Nobody was respecting anybody. They were trying to eat people, man. There was death all around. That's how it's going to be, man. I'm going to jump to 41. It says, "Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters." Alright? "And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass of the meadows, and their corn. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, and make her afraid." Alright, so Babylon, people are going to be freaked out, man, when the destruction comes to Babylon, America. Alright? And Yahweh Shai, when they visit the earth with the chariots and the nuclear missiles, which is the blessing that Yahweh gave to Esau in Genesis 27 and 40, Esau's going to lose his blessing that day, which is the sword, meaning war. Because one of the titles of the Lord is the Lord of hosts, meaning the Lord of armies. He's going to snatch that blessing from Esau on that last day. He's taking the blessing of war from Esau. He's going to fuck Esau up, man. Edom is doomed. And so are the 2/3 who are all up on Edom's nuts. Alright? So if you're a so-called black, Hispanic, and so-called Native American man, and all you can do is be in Esau's churches, be in Esau's education system, be in just clinging and kissing Esau's ass, the so-called white man. You're going to be part of that destruction, man. That's that 2/3. You can read about that in Zechariah 13 and 8. All right. All right. So I'm going to go to verse 57 next. It says, "Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through a sword. Thy cities shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field." That was those missiles. You saw that in the commercial. They showed you the fire in the sky and the destruction. "They might be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. Thou as unhappy shalt come through the sea and receive plagues again." And the sea is a metaphor for people. All right. You know, like they say, it was a sea of people. Well, that's what that means. And 58 tells you about the cannibalism coming back in a major way. And you saw that in that commercial. They showed you the Edomite zombies were coming to eat people. And it's not just going to be Edomites. You're going to have hungry Israelites who are actually so-called blacks and so-called Native American and so-called Hispanics, you know. They're going to be suffering just like the Edomite, that 2/3, the wicked. All right. The ones who love Esau and his system, and they love this kingdom. They don't want to see this kingdom end, right? And let me keep reading.